Going through a breakup can be one of the most painful and challenging experiences life throws our way. There's no denying that. It often feels like your entire world has been turned upside down. In times like these, it can be helpful to explore different philosophies and the timeless wisdom they offer for navigating heartbreak and healing. Heartbreaks are never easy. We've all been there. But what if I told you there's ancient wisdom that can help you heal and come out stronger? In this video, we'll explore timeless lessons from Stoic philosophy to guide you through the pain of a breakup. So, if you're ready to find peace and regain control over your emotions, stay tuned. Let's dive in. Let's begin with Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in ancient Greece and Rome. While the concept of love and relationships has evolved dramatically over the centuries, human emotions like desire, attachment, longing, and even anger have remained constant. These fundamental feelings are universal, transcending time and culture. Unlike humans, nature moves at its own steady pace, unconcerned with the fleeting trends of civilization. Even as society advances by leaps and bounds, our biology and emotional makeup are still strikingly similar to what they were thousands of years ago. That's precisely why ancient philosophies, such as Stoicism, remain relevant today. Yes, modern science has provided us with a deeper understanding of the brain and its intricate workings. Yet, the practical wisdom found in Stoic teachings continues to offer profound insights for coping with life's hardships, including heartbreak. In many ways, it serves as a timeless guide, reminding us that while we may not control external events, we can always control how we respond to them. To better understand how to move forward after a breakup, it's essential to break down what's really happening and why it feels so overwhelming. Falling in love is one of the most intense emotional experiences we can have. When we're in love, our bodies flood us with chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, making us feel euphoric and deeply connected to one person. They become the center of our thoughts and desires. Biologically, this is nature's way of encouraging bonding and reproduction. But here's the catch. Just as those feelings intensify, they eventually begin to fade. After the so-called honeymoon phase, those heightened emotions often taper off, and we start seeing the person more realistically, without the rose-colored glasses. What initially felt like a blissful high reveals itself as temporary. Yet even when that high fades, a strong attachment often remains. Is this attachment inherently wrong? Not necessarily. In many cases, it's simply a natural consequence of being emotionally invested. We can't always control whether that attachment lingers. If it's there, it's there. What we can control, however, is how we respond to this attachment and handle the painful separation. This is where the power of the rational mind comes in, something the Stoics were masters at cultivating. While no philosophy can magically erase the pain, what can help is challenging and reshaping the beliefs that make the breakup harder to bear. By adopting a Stoic approach, we learn to accept the reality of the situation, release unhealthy illusions, and find a sense of inner peace. Let's take a look at some common beliefs about breakups and how Stoic wisdom can guide us toward healing. 1. I need this person to be happy. One of the most common beliefs after a breakup is the notion that we need the other person to be happy. This attachment often leads to clingy behavior and an overwhelming sense of loss when the relationship ends. The typical response people give to this mindset is, "There are plenty of fish in the sea." While this may be true, after all, there are billions of people in the world. This statement doesn't actually solve the underlying problem. Why? Because it reinforces the idea that happiness depends on finding someone else, even if there are countless potential partners out there. But here's the catch. External things, including relationships, are never fully within our control. Even if there are a billion metaphorical fish in the sea, there's no guarantee we'll catch or keep any of them. If our happiness depends solely on having a partner, then we're setting ourselves up for future disappointment. True happiness, as the Stoics teach, comes from within. It's cultivated by focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, rather than relying on external factors. Relationships can enhance our lives, but they shouldn't define our sense of fulfillment. Learning to find peace and contentment within ourselves allows us to approach love from a place of abundance rather than desperation, freeing us from the false belief that we need someone else to be whole. One of the key reasons we suffer after a breakup is the mistaken belief that our happiness depends on being with the other person. When we cling to this idea, we place our sense of fulfillment in something external, something beyond our control. This is precisely where Stoicism offers a transformative perspective. According to Stoic philosophy, happiness does not come from external circumstances, but from living a virtuous life. Virtue, in the Stoic sense, means living in harmony with reason, practicing wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Unlike love, relationships, or material possessions, virtue is entirely within our control, making it a reliable and unshakable foundation for happiness. While romance, relationships, marriage, and even having a family can enrich our lives, they are not essential for true contentment. In fact, the Stoics categorize these things as preferred indifference, external factors that are nice to have, but not necessary for living a fulfilling life. To the Stoic mind, these preferred indifference can enhance our experience, but should never be the source of our well-being. Why? Because they are inherently unpredictable and temporary. People may come and go, relationships may flourish or fade, but our inner virtue and character remain within our grasp. By shifting our focus inward and prioritizing what we can control, we free ourselves from the emotional turmoil that comes from attaching our happiness to external and unstable things. 2. I'm entitled to that person. This belief often triggers feelings of anger and resentment. When we view a romantic partner as a possession or as someone we are entitled to, we set ourselves up for emotional turmoil. This entitlement mindset frequently goes hand in hand with jealousy, a fear of losing what we believe is rightfully ours. When a breakup occurs, especially if it's unexpected or undesired, we may feel wronged, as though the decision was somehow unjust. This sense of betrayal becomes even more pronounced in cases of infidelity or divorce. The idea that marriage vows are meant to last until death do us part can make divorce feel like a personal injustice. Similarly, when cheating occurs, it shatters the implicit or explicit promise of loyalty, deepening feelings of hurt and resentment. However, it's worth remembering that concepts like monogamy and sexual exclusivity are social constructs shaped by cultural and religious traditions. They haven't always been the standard throughout history. These norms create societal expectations that fuel our sense of entitlement and fear of loss. In today's world, where sexual freedom is more widely embraced, dating apps have revolutionized how people connect, and the traditional sanctity of marriage has diminished. Relationships are often more fluid and less permanent. This societal shift has contributed to an increase in both breakups and instances of infidelity. Stoic philosophy reminds us to challenge these rigid beliefs about entitlement and possession. People are not objects we own, and no relationship is guaranteed to last forever. What is within our control, however, is how we choose to respond to loss. By releasing the belief that we are entitled to another person's love, loyalty, or presence, we free ourselves from the destructive emotions of jealousy and anger, allowing us to find peace and emotional resilience in the face of heartbreak. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus offers profound wisdom on how we should approach loss, particularly the loss of things or people we hold dear. He encourages us to rethink our attachment to these external elements and adopt a mindset of acceptance. One of his most famous teachings on this topic is as follows: "Never say of anything, 'I have lost it,' but rather, 'I have returned it.' Is your child dead? It has been returned. Is your wife dead? She has been returned. Is your estate taken away? Well, is that not also returned? But the one who took it away is a bad person, you say. What does it matter to you who the giver assigns to take it back? While it is yours to possess, care for it, but do not view it as your own, just as travelers do not view a hotel as their permanent home." This passage challenges our conventional way of thinking about ownership and attachment. Epictetus suggests that nothing in life truly belongs to us, not our loved ones, our possessions, or even our personal achievements. They are all, in a sense, temporarily entrusted to us by the universe. When they are taken away, it is not a loss but a return to their source. By viewing life this way, we can cultivate a sense of gratitude for what we have while we have it, without being shattered when it is gone. Just as travelers appreciate the comforts of a hotel without claiming it as their permanent residence, we too can cherish our relationships and possessions without becoming enslaved by attachment. This mindset does not mean we should be indifferent or unfeeling. On the contrary, it encourages us to care deeply for the people and things in our lives, but with the wisdom to understand that their presence is temporary. In practicing this perspective, we can find peace and resilience in the face of inevitable loss. 3. I'll never get over that person. The pain of a breakup can feel overwhelming, as though you'll never be able to move on. The hurt can linger so deeply that healing seems impossible. But as cliché as it sounds, the passage of time truly does mend wounds. Even the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius recognized the inevitability of change when he wrote, "Some things are rushing into existence, others out of it. Some of what now exists is already gone." Change and flux constantly remake the world, just as the incessant progression of time remakes eternity. Pain, in its raw form, is something we can work with. Fighting it only amplifies its power over us. The better approach is to acknowledge it, to sit with it, and to recognize it as a natural response to loss. In our desperation to numb that pain, we often turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms. I've been guilty of that myself, using alcohol and other substances to escape the hurt. These quick fixes may offer temporary relief, but they never lead to genuine healing. Another common mistake is isolation. While some solitude can be healthy and necessary, withdrawing entirely from the world only deepens the misery. From my own experience, the ideal path forward is a combination of active engagement with life and intentional moments of solitude to fully process the grief. The latter is especially important. Sitting with the pain, as uncomfortable as it may be, allows us to endure the slow and often grueling process of detachment. This phase can take months or even years, but it's essential for growth. The Roman philosopher Seneca captured this well when he wrote, "I waited until it exhausted itself by its own violence, weakened by time, and was then able to bear remedies, allowing itself to be handled and touched." In simple terms, let yourself cry. Be fully human in your grief. Don't rush to fix what's broken too quickly. Once the initial shock subsides, that's the time to explore how Stoic philosophy can serve as a balm for the wound, helping you regain perspective and find strength in acceptance. 4. I'll never find love again. After a breakup, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that love will never come your way again. The pain of loss can create a tunnel vision where the future looks bleak and empty. But this belief, while understandable, is deeply flawed. First, it assumes that love can only take one form, romantic. In reality, love is vast and multifaceted. It exists in friendships, family bonds, and even in the passion we feel for our pursuits and creative endeavors. Limiting love solely to romantic relationships diminishes the richness it offers in countless other aspects of life. Second, this belief forgets a simple but profound truth. Life is unpredictable, and change is the only constant. Just as the breakup you didn't foresee happened, so too can new and unexpected connections emerge when you least expect them. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight. True fulfillment doesn't come from seeking love externally, but from cultivating self-love and inner contentment. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and character. When we develop a strong sense of self-worth, we become less dependent on external validation and better equipped to welcome love when it naturally finds us again. Instead of despairing, see this as an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, pursue your passions, and strengthen the relationships you already have. Love, in its many forms, is abundant and ever-present. The universe has an uncanny way of surprising us when we let go of rigid expectations and remain open to new possibilities. 5. I failed because the relationship ended. It's common to equate the end of a relationship with personal failure. We look back on what went wrong, blame ourselves for mistakes, or believe we weren't good enough. But this belief is misguided and unnecessarily harsh. The Stoics remind us that the true measure of success in any endeavor, including relationships, is not the outcome, but how we conducted ourselves along the way. Did we act with honesty, kindness, and integrity? Did we communicate openly and show compassion? If so, then we have nothing to regret, regardless of how the relationship ended. As Epictetus wisely put it, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. The decision of another person to stay or leave is beyond our control, but how we love and grow in the process is entirely up to us. Moreover, relationships are not failures simply because they don't last forever. They are opportunities for growth, learning, and connection. Just as a beautiful sunset is no less meaningful because it ends, a relationship can be valuable even if it was temporary. Instead of seeing the breakup as a personal defeat, view it as a chapter that contributed to your evolution. What lessons did it teach you? How did it shape the person you are today? By shifting your perspective from failure to growth, you can honor the past relationship while moving forward with resilience and wisdom. Heartbreak is not a reflection of your worth or a measure of your failure. It's simply a part of being human. Breakups remind us of the impermanence of life, but they also invite us to grow, to reflect, and to rediscover ourselves. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, we can learn to navigate the stormy seas of heartbreak with grace and strength, finding peace in what we can control and releasing what we cannot. Remember, healing is not a race. It's a journey. Be patient with yourself. Let the pain guide you toward growth, not define you. As you step forward, armed with resilience and self-awareness, you'll find that not only is life still beautiful, it's filled with endless opportunities for love in all its forms.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.